This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Good evening of you. It's great to see 70 of you waiting for the show to start straight away. It's Sunday night, which can only mean that it's extra time. The final word on the weekend's action, and the weekend's action this weekend, there's quite a bit of action actually, because obviously we've had the Wolves 2, Newcastle United 2. We've had Samosa Saturday 20, would you believe? We've also had the Wolves All-Stars playing today down at Bilston Town. So we'll be giving you updates on both of those fundraising events as well as always. Just before I get started, I do want you guys, I do want to say a big thank you as always to the wonderful local business Creation Wolf, who basically are a one-stop digital solution delivering the industry's latest, most advanced digital solutions. And they're a local company. They do analytics, brand management, development, digital marketing, lead generation, SEO, and IA. And you can get in touch with them. The link is in the description below, and these are some of their latest products. As you can see there, we're on there as well, so check them out. That if you're a local company, you want to enhance your brand, they're from Wolverhampton, make sure you get onto them. So who we got for our first guests today? Well, we do have for our first guest, we have the voice of reason himself. Jack, how you doing, mate?
Not so bad. How are you, Dave?
I'm good, and it was good seeing you earlier on today because we did go down to Bilston. I managed to get all my editing and stuff done, and we went down with the producer and me, you, and Chris and Emma and thing. We all stood behind the goal. Giving Jason a bit of abuse and stuff and everything, but it was a good game. 2-1 in the end to the All-Stars. I'm sure Jason will talk a bit about that. But we had the Always Wolves stand behind the goal at Bilston. We've also got joining us, who's recently, I'm pleased to say, has signed a 3-year deal with Always Wolves FC. Who did such a great job for us. I actually did the cross that set me up for the headed goal to win our first match. Lewis, how you doing, young man?
Oh, okay, Dave. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. You had a good weekend. You weren't able to be on last week because you were up in Liverpool visiting your young lady. Yeah,
I missed the game. I didn't want to come on and not have as much good stuff to say as I would have if I'd watched the game, but. Yeah, well, I went to the game last night, so definitely good to be back here.
Fantastic. And finally, we have the guy that just keeps on giving or keeps on getting people to give. It's Manny. How you doing, mate?
You're all right, mate. I'm fine.
The magic triangle.
Yeah, the magic triangle.
Points again yesterday, mate.
Yeah, well, yeah, it did. Magical. Well. No words, to be honest.
Do you want to just give everyone an update? Because I think we went for a record number of samosas made.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? We always try and make as many as possible. But cost of living actually does affect even fundraising, and I'm just so thankful to the fans, some brilliant fans who help out. So we had 3,350 samosas, I think, which was like a record amount for us. And we got rid of them all.
And you even made some with peas, without peas.
Yeah. Chris Humphreys will be on next, hates peas. He's allergic, so we had to make some special one-off pea-free. But he does, he gives all the time. And it was my missus. He sweet talked to my wife at Telford and convinced her, and she was like adamant that we had to make them for him, and I was like, no, we're going to treat him like everybody else. He either eats the pea ones or no, but we made him some. So yeah, brilliant day. And wow, we raised we've raised the total right now. I mean, people have donated today, people who couldn't get there, people who wanted to be there, so we're up to £6,550 so far raised, which
absolutely fantastic.
It
6,000. This is like the BBC telethon. I should have a little number going across the green.
Oh man, honestly, just unreal. And like again, some fantastic stories and people. And we had a special lady there who was from, Dave spoke to her as well.
She was
from
lovely.
Discovering Dementia, which is a podcast. So she was recording the sounds and sights of Samosa Saturday, and she started in the home she was actually had a microphone to our samosas. I thought that's the first time I've ever had my samosas interviewed to see what they were saying in the frying pan.
Probably giving her a lot of points.
Yeah, she spoke
at least 3.
Spoke to a lot of the volunteers, a lot of the people who donate, and also some fans who obviously have loved ones who are going through this condition, and telling their stories. And I'm sure that's when it comes out, I'll share what the content that she's produced, because I'm sure it'll be a great listen with so many random fans she spoke to Johnny Phillips as well. She spent a lot of time speaking to him. He was presenting for Sky Sports that day. He was one of the first ones up to the stall, and massive amount of thanks to everyone who volunteers, helps, makes, shares, joins in, makes it part of their match day. You see fans come there and they literally spend half an hour just standing around, just chilling, just talking to others, and as you can see from the comments, it affects so many people. There's probably nobody that doesn't know anybody that has the condition, and unfortunately, every 3 minutes another person, and that's how prevalent it is. So we'll carry on, and we carry on because you keep giving, man. People say, how many more Samosa Saturdays? I say, these bloody Wolves fans are greedy pigs, man. They don't stop. They want more. Even I've had messages, when's your next one? I'm saying, whoa, let me rest. So brilliant. And we, as always, we will do one towards the end of the season. And it just keeps astounding us. 20 events, 5 years, virtually to the day when we first started, against Spurs at home in the evening on a Saturday night, and never ever thought it would become what it has become. It's like an institution now. It's almost like I'm honoured to be there, a part. People make it their part of their existence, and so many people, like Dave, you all know, so many people who've joined in with the fundraising and joined in to help. It's given them an outlet. There's people who've never ever done anything like that, or people who have struggled maybe meeting people or being in a community. I get messages from some of the helpers saying, wow, I feel like I'm part of a family. I feel like I'm part of a community. It really lifts me, and it's so uplifting. So it's more than just the money. It's lots of goodwill. It's lots of positivity. We see what's happening in the news. We only have to switch it on, and we get downhearted by how awful things are around the world. But there's also good as well, and unfortunately that good doesn't really get shown. And so this is goodness. This is goodness. Random fans who don't really know each other coming together, and then we top it off with a really proud, strong performance to make the whole day just.
Well, Manny, that's almost a seamless link that you've done there. Running, almost like a top professional. Lewis, let's come to you. Someone's labelling you the voice of. If Jack's the voice of reason, apparently you're the voice of common sense. What you obviously were at the game yesterday. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I was really impressed yesterday. I thought Newcastle is such a strong team. They can play football really well, but they're also, physically capable. So before the game, I was, quite cautious to expect anything, more than a draw, is what I hoped for. But really looking at the game and how we played, and really we could have won the game. There were a couple of things that didn't go our way that meant it was tough and it didn't happen. But really, I was really impressed with the way our players played and dealt with their players. But the kind of football that we played ourselves as well, I thought it was really good. Ait Nouri did really well against Trippier in the early parts of the game, specifically, and the midfield was an area I spoke to you in the week about, Dave, and I thought the midfield did really well. I thought obviously Boubacar come off a bit earlier, but even when Joao Gomes come on and Tommy Doyle, it was a bit of a weaker midfield between the two of them compared to Lamina and Boubacar. But I thought, they did really well. And I was really, really impressed with the performance yesterday. And it's just a shame that those small things like the VAR decision and, a couple of chances that could have maybe been followed up, I think, to the Cunha chance when he ran through a lot of the team, and then it's just there. Someone should be at the back post just to get that in, possibly. But I was really happy. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, over to you, Jack. I mean, going into the game, were you feeling quite positive? And how were you feeling coming out the game? Do you feel like, again, it was, 10 games into the season, and we're talking about 3 VAR penalty decisions that have all gone the opposite way for Wolves. And I mean, I'm down the North Bank end, so during the game, I'm looking at it from the other end. You're at the other end, aren't you? I mean, what's your view on before the game, and then with the incidents and after the match?
I think going into the game, it's a bit of a cliche, but I thought it was probably a good time to play Newcastle. They'd just come on the back of a really sort of tiring game on Wednesday night. I thought they played well against Dortmund, but it took a lot out of them physically. And obviously the mental sort of scars of getting beat 1-0 against the run of play, if you like. And they've obviously, Tonali was suspended. We weren't sure if that was coming through or not. And I think it came through Friday night, didn't it? So that was a late blow. That to maybe change their plans very last minute. So it probably fell at the right time that the fixture came. We said before the game last week, didn't we, that usually we draw with Newcastle, and we made a bit of a joke of it. But I think that's kind of where we're at now, aren't we? They're a very good side. I think what Louis said is absolutely right. They're very physical, but they play a lot of football as well. Trippier gets forward down that right-hand side. Joe Linton and Guimaraes in the middle can kind of dominate pretty much any midfield that's there, really. And I thought we stood up to that challenge really well. I actually thought it was a really good game of football, a really, really good game of football. Conditions played a part. It was a nasty night. It was cold. It was wet. The pitch was greasy. The tackles going in that weren't getting pulled up, and then there were ones that probably shouldn't have been. And we can talk about refereeing, ad infinitum, but it's a complete waste of time, as Gary O'Neill said, because they're all crap. But sometimes it adds to the spectacle, doesn't it, in some ways? And then I think sometimes we talk about the atmosphere at Molineux. Sometimes what we need is a villain. And Anthony Taylor played his part as a villain superbly last night, didn't he? Because the whole crowd were on his back, and Premier League is corrupt and you don't know what you're doing and all this. And it just got an extra 10% out of the crowd. I thought it was as loud as I've heard it in a long time. Certainly probably the loudest this season. And that contributed to a really good game of football. Could have gone either way. I think I said to you earlier when I saw you, if Neto hadn't gone off injured, I think we probably pinched that at the end. We had the momentum. They were sort of on the ropes. They were tired. Eddie Howe didn't want to make any substitutions.
Saying the same thing here. Look, and I said it as well. I think we personally, I think we probably would have had a very good chance of winning it. And then obviously, even in that attack where he pulls his hamstring and he goes down, if he continues running, we've got 3 other players up with him at that point. But obviously, the attack comes to a finish because his hamstring goes. On Neto, I think someone said in the chat about it's bad about Neto, but Neto has put an Instagram post out, I think, earlier on today.
Twitter as well, yeah.
And on Twitter, and he basically said it's not so bad. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks, which basically means he's going to miss the Sheffield United and Tottenham game. And like you were saying earlier, you got the international break. So fingers crossed, if everything that Neto's saying on his social media, it doesn't look too bad. It looks like it's going to be a grade 1 hamstring injury rather than a grade 3 tear, and he could be back up and running with us after the international break. Manny, what's your take on the on the incidents?
The last 3 home games I'm going to talk about, because when you look at the home run, we had Liverpool, Brighton, then Man City, Villa, Newcastle, Spurs next. That's as hard a 6-game home run as anybody's going to get all season.
Yeah.
And if you went on the Liverpool and Brighton games, we might have been sitting here thinking we're not going to get a point in those 6. So those last 3 games at home in particular, I'm wearing this shirt because it's from the European season, and I felt like that again at Molineux. You know, that type of play, that type of raucous atmosphere. Jack is quite right. You know, we love a villain. We had Nunes, then we had McGinn, then we had McGinn, and then we had Anthony Taylor. And I said the same thing to the guy next to me. I think he's done us a favour, this ref has, because the crowd are right into this game. And that feeds, you know, and I've always been on, always said, you know, it gives you such a lift as a player. You know, when Lamina scores, straight away he looks at the South Bank and he's going, come on, I want more noise. That's what Lamina's doing. He's saying, I want more noise, because it lifts people to another level. And
I'll tell you what, it did lift him, because he was like Superman at the back post.
No,
like,
it does inspire you. Imagine you're playing even in a in like a charity match today, and everyone's shouting and chanting your name. You're going to feel like $1 million. So, you know, we've got that atmosphere back, and we couldn't have played really. Man City, Villa, and Newcastle, they're all flying. They all score goals for fun. They're all right, you know, near the top of the league. They're playing Champions League, European football, and we've gone toe to toe. We've literally could have sat here with 9 points from those 3 games quite easily. You know, all the momentum in that second half was with Wolves. All of it. I can't see Sarr being troubled at all in that first 30 minutes until, you know, obviously Neto gets injured. Sarr doesn't look like he's in trouble at all.
Manny, I don't. In the first half, I thought he didn't look troubled up until the mistake.
It was. I thought it was really gutsy with lots of quality. It control players again looking comfortable, exactly the same way. Man City, Villa, build, and we scored 2 goals. Could have scored more. When Neto goes through, you know, and he pulls up, there's 4 against 3. We're right in line. That's our side of the ground, so we're right in line from a side, and there's 3 players in the box at that time, across the box, across the whole of the box. It's almost like any sort of cross or shot or pass, and someone's got a clear chance at goal. And
I mean, he was literally full flight, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was. So that was obviously disappointing massively, because he's a huge player. He's a superstar of this Premier League. You know, every defender, you know, Newcastle defenders, when he goes off, they must have been hugging each other. They must have been thinking, oh my God, thank you for that. And that's the only thing, you know, we don't have anything of his standard. Obviously, that's going to be really hard, but anything approaching his standard to bring on, we do lack. So we might give a chance to the likes of Bellegarde and players that we bought in, who, you know, and so yeah, let's see. Sheffield United is probably a good match, you know, on paper. It could be a tough.
Sheffield United, it's a good match, but again, it's one of them, because the expectation's so high, isn't it? Where, you know, so it's like, you don't want to be the first team to lose to Sheffield United, like when we went to Luton, and then we played Bournemouth, and now Bournemouth got their first win against Burnley today. So that is a quite again, you've done a really good seamless link there, Manny. Looking ahead, Lewis, to Sheffield United, is what Manny's bought there. Gary O'Neill now has got to go away. We know we've got no Neto, and he's got to basically, obviously, he's been quite impressive the last 4 games with the game management, much better than in the early. So he seems to be understanding and learning his squad. Who do you see? I mean, where do you see that Gary will go for next week with Sheffield United in terms of like replacing Neto? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a tough decision, because I think you look at the way Sheffield are going to play. Maybe they will be physical rather than trying to play. So then maybe Sarabia doesn't suit this type of game as much as a kind of a like-for-like swap on that right-hand side for Neto. But then you look at who else is available. There's obviously Enzo Gonzalez, a younger kid. I don't think it's the right time to bring him in at the moment. But then you have to put somebody in that right wing position. So do you move Cunha and play him on the right hand side, and then you can start Sasa?
Yeah.
You know, there's a couple of options. There's even Fabio is on the bench as well. He hasn't played as much recently, so I think it's a bit of a headache for Gary to have to think about how he's going to replace it, because Neto is the perfect player for that position in our system at the moment. He plays it so well, and it's a tough one because, like I said, Sheffield are the type of opposition who are going to be physical. I know that they're really struggling with injuries this season, but the crowd are going to make it hostile. It's going to be a tough game, and I think Sarabia is just not that type of player who's going to succeed in that environment. So I could possibly see him moving Cunha out to the right and playing Sasa through the middle. Or we could play a 4-4-2, as we have been going to when we've had the ball. I mean, yesterday, Nouri was sometimes the highest player at the pitch. So Totti would move across. So, if it's a 4-4-2, it becomes a bit more flexible, because you could maybe play Bellegarde on that right-hand side as a midfielder rather than a winger. And you could have Cunha and Sasa at the top. But it's a tough decision for Gary this week, and I'm going to be really interested to see how he decides to go.
Well said. Robert says, guys, hit the like button, lads, ladies and gentlemen. There's 333 of you. It just lets YouTube know that you're enjoying it. Jack, I want you to pick up on that, because it is a dilemma, because Neto is such an important player, and it does seem good news that we're going to get him. It could easily be out for 3 months if it's a tear, but it looks as if it's a lot better. But it's still going to be a big loss. You've heard what Lewis has had to say. Looking ahead to Sheffield United, what's your thoughts?
I'd probably, if he's fit, I'd probably bring Bellegarde in, just because I think what Neto brings is that ability to drive with the ball and commit defenders. And I think Bellegarde is probably the one out of the options that's more likely to do that. And then you don't have to alter your system too much. Then I think you can almost overcomplicate it sometimes, and you kind of go, well, if I bring this guy in, this person can drop a bit deeper, he can push a bit wider, and then you end up sort of making 3 or 4 tactical changes when you don't really need to. What we're doing now is working. So I think the plan should be to make us as close to like for like as you can. And I think for me, that would be Bellegarde, because I think he can carry the ball, he can drive with the ball, he can bring the ball into those areas and commit defenders, which Neto has been doing fantastically. I think we
saw a little bit of that against Manchester City, although he was playing a more central role. We saw how he can run and drive with the ball. So that, again, it's a good call.
Yeah, and I just think with Neto as well, with the set pieces, won't it? So then there's perhaps an argument to say, well, does Tommy Doyle start? Because his set pieces are looking really good. So again, I think Sheffield United have conceded 29 goals in 10 games, so they're vulnerable. So if you put pressure on from set pieces and you sort of get pushed right up the pitch and put their defence under pressure, you get some joy, I think. So let's be brave and let's really take the game to them. Let's I completely understand we don't want to be the first team to lose to them, but there's a reason they haven't won yet. It's because they're not very good. So put the pressure on them, attack them, put them under pressure, and see what happens.
They have done reasonably well at home, though, on their pitch. I mean, they took Man United close, mind you. Then again, we should have beat Man United or at least got a point, and they haven't been doing very well. So it's maybe not the best of things. I mean, City have absolutely spanked them 3-0 today. Manny, you've heard what Lewis and Jack. What's your thoughts, mate?
We've done well. We've got 7 points at away grounds where we were playing against similar sides, Luton, Everton, Bournemouth. Maybe in the past we wouldn't have got those points and we've struggled. So like Jack says, we've got to take this confidence with us because we're 5 unbeaten. We're playing well. Players are confident. sometimes actually it galvanises players. So you've got a group of players who know Neto's really important, but the Laminas, Dawsons, you imagine in training, they're going to say, let's do it for Neto, you know, we're going to be, you know, because it brings people together and people then react and play better. I've got a inkling for Bellegarde and maybe bringing in Tommy Doyle for Traore to play Doyle with Lamina in the middle, because Doyle's passing. I mean, even on
it's
Saturday when
fantastic.
he
It's been
came,
great. To be honest, I thought
he only looks forward, doesn't he? I mean, just amazing.
Boubacar looked a little bit nervy at times, or he settled down. But when Tommy Doyle comes on, he was very, very positive with his forward passing, and he saw that against Luton. He came on and he looks really composed, doesn't he?
He does, you know. And the thing is, with the midfield, we have to be quite fluid. I think we can't have a set two. I think with Doyle and with Gomez and with Traore and with Lemmy, we've got options, haven't we? And they're all good players. They're not bad players, so we can switch them around. With the front, I think maybe we can bring Kuna and Hwang almost a little bit central and play Bellegarde just in behind them, almost like playing in that number 10 role, and ask your fullbacks to go further up, because we've got three at the back. We've got defenders. We're playing Sheffield United. Take it to them. Ait Nouri is a flyer. You know, Semedo is crossing was a little bit poor, but he does get into really good positions as well. Man, if you're looking for a right winger, Totti Gomez, what about that skill?
Oh, I mean, you know what? I was watching that from obviously from the North Bank, and guys, you know, obviously the match vlog's really, really good. We capture the goals, we talk through the game, but I'm like reacting to the goal when I'm watching it back on the TV, and I've obviously seen it, and I thought, oh, it must be Mario Lemina that's up there, and then it's Totti Gomez. And what, you know, Totti Gomez, we talk about Totti Gomez every week, don't we, of being like your John Smith. He just does everything, the basics really, really well. But he literally took three players out, played a reverse pass to Wang. And by the way, what a left foot that Wang pulled back to send the defender, stay balanced, and then fitted. This is a guy that scored now in 6 consecutive Molineux games. Wang Hee-chan, the Korean guy. People are starting to know that his name now, ain't they, Manu?
Yeah, they are, and you know, he's so composed, because he probably didn't have the best first half in eyes as well, but he's still there, and he still gets into that position, and he's so it's confidence, isn't it? Like I said, when you're confident, you just feel like you're invincible. He put the defender on his backside in a brilliant move, and he knew where he was going to put that ball. He already knew. He visualized it. This is where I'm going to hit the ball, and it's going in. Not just like in the past where our strikers have gone through and just thought, let's just hit it as hard as we can and see if it goes in. He literally controls the ball, and he aims it at the biggest, you know, area that he can see where he's got a chance of scoring, and he's on a sensational run, 6, you know, Premier League home games on the bounce that he scored after all the troubles we had last year with our strikers not scoring is a fantastic record. And you know, and it was, and these last 3 games at home haven't been a fluke. You know, we haven't been holding on against Man City. We haven't been battered by Villa. We haven't been overrun by Newcastle. We've took the game to all 3, and we fully deserved the 5 points. And we sit here thinking that if, you know, we had some classic referees of yesteryear, we might have been sitting on 7 or 9 points. You know, it's just ridiculous what's going on at the moment. And I feel for in a little way, I felt for Anthony Taylor a little bit. You know why? Because he's only got the one view on that incident. Just on that incident alone, he's only got one view. And when we saw it, my son said penalty. I said, oh, I don't know. The guy next to me go, oh, that's a penalty. That's a bit rash. You know, so you can, in one view, think, oh, has Wang put his foot in there? And then this is what VAR was brought in for, to actually analyse it, look at it, and they think, oh, hang on, he hasn't touched him. He's pulled out. He's tried to pull out. Oh, Anthony, come and have a look at this screen. That screen, right, after a year, we can get our money back because we haven't used it. It'll be brand new.
And you know what? The other thing is, Alan Shearer. Let's face it. He's very, very rose tinted Newcastle. Even he said on Match of the Day, it's not a penalty.
I don't think I've heard of a single, person who's in the game saying it was a penalty. And that's, like I said, VAR have to step in and make a positive decision. Otherwise, you might as well not have it. Don't have it then. Just stick with the referee, and he's made a ricket. And that's it.
I know, and it seems to, you can understand why the Wolves fans are, getting frustrated and singing that, Premier League corruptors, beep, and all of that. Guys, save a few questions. I've seen a few questions. There's a couple of people that have had a couple of questions. I know there's a question about the New Year's Eve fixture, and I will put it to the panel. So just save them up for just after the quiz bit towards the end of this first half of the show. Lewis, I'm going to come to you in a second. Jack, we're going to come on to performance rating, moment of the day, and your man of the match. But I also know that you are talking to you today. You've got a few points that or stats that you want to tell everyone about.
Yeah, and I was just doing a little bit of sort of digging earlier on, just to kind of confirm in my own mind what I was thinking. And I think our goal scoring is so much better this year. And I did a little bit of sort of digging, like I say, and we've scored in our first 10 games, league games this season, we've scored 13 goals. Last season, in our first 10 league games, we scored 4 goals.
Wow.
Our 13th league goal of the season came yesterday on the 28th of October. Our 13th league goal last year came on the 4th of February. So you can, just in those two stats there, you can see, and okay, there was a World Cup break, so, that skews it slightly, but you can see just how much more likely we are to score goals at the minute. We're going into games now believing we're going to score goals. 1 goal, 2 goal. Last year, you were kind of thinking, well, if we concede a goal, we're going to lose today. Whereas
how
now
many times we talk about that, Manny?
You know what? Again, didn't I say it puts the pressure on defences to keep clean sheets? Now, our defence isn't keeping a clean sheet, but we're still getting points because we score goals.
Continue, Jack.
No, that's kind of the main crux of the point, really. I just think, Gary O'Neill, for all the criticism he had when he first came in, I think little by little he's kind of growing that belief within him, and I think he's put that into the squad, and I think they now believe whoever comes to Molineux or whoever we're going, we're going to cause you problems, we're going to score goals against you, and we're going to take points off you. And I think that's kind of really great to see. It's sort of huge for belief, isn't it? And we always see in games, don't we, that goals change games, and if we've got players in our team that are going to score goals, then it makes such a big difference. Such a big difference.
Absolutely. Chris Jordan, I know you're asking how the samosa sale yesterday, Manny. The first 7 minutes of the show, we talked about that, but it's raised over £6,500. Fantastic effort. Jack, performance rating?
I'll go 8.
A solid 8?
We were really good. Yeah, I thought we were really good.
Solid 8.
Yeah.
Your man of the match? And why?
I had to think about this. I'm going to go with Lamina. I think not just for his goal, but I think his all-round play. I thought he showed what we missed last week when he didn't play. He keeps a really nice structure and shape in that midfield. We're very difficult to play through when he's in there because he can sniff out the danger and he can pull players around him and say, you need to go and just close that gap there and stop that space opening up. I think he's really good at that. He's got a great engine. He's 100% all the time, isn't he? There's no sort of backing off or anything like that. I love all action midfielders. I always have done. So yeah, I mean, he was fantastic. You could give it to Craig Dawson. I thought he was tremendous again. Neto had a great game until he went off. I thought Cunha again carrying the ball was such a threat, but Lamina just pips it for me. Okay,
and your moment or highlight of the day, and bear in mind this could be absolutely anything from your day. It could be just eating having a bovril, doesn't matter what it is, from your match day or your day in general. What's your moment or highlight of the day?
Got to be Samosa Saturday, hasn't it? Fantastic call, was really well done.
Look at Manny's little smile.
You know what? Jack is always one of the first ones there.
Absolutely.
He's always one of the first ones. He's so he's a regular, and it's great to see people enjoying it. So that's what it's there for.
Fantastic. Lewis, we're going to come to you now, and if there's any other points you want to make around the game as well, obviously come in. But if there is, crack on with that. But if not, let's go into your performance rating.
Yeah, just before we touch on the performance rating, I just wanted to talk about the VAR.
Yep.
I think Gary did a great job with the press conference of saying, he's tired of talking about the mistakes. And, I think he said it perfectly when he said it's not worth wasting time talking about it. But I was watching the Man United and Man City game today, and Sky have Mike Dean in their production, and they have his opinion and things like that. And there was a point he made about he wanted to get the right calls in the big games, but surely they should want to get the right calls in every game. It shouldn't matter who's playing. It's a Premier League game. VAR's there. They have to get it right. And when there was such a big mistake, it's a bit different, but a mistake is the same. For the Liverpool and Tottenham game, everybody was talking about it. It was you couldn't move from the sports news channels for days because it was continuously everywhere. Everyone seemed to disagree with the decision last night, in the studio and on Match of the Day, things like that. But I haven't heard anything anywhere about it. I think it is it's a good showing of the level of favoritism in the league that some clubs, especially the bigger clubs, they get. And I think this is a really big thing that needs to change across the whole league, because when it's a mistake that goes against Liverpool, Man City, it's everywhere. But yesterday, I think everyone, there'll be, of course, a minority who say, it was a penalty, that was the right choice. But the vast majority of people see that as an error by VAR, but it's nowhere to be heard about. And I think it's something that really has to change, because they can't keep making the same errors week in. And it does feel like week in, week out for Wolves. I think there's already been 3 massive VAR, wrong choices, really, for Wolves.
Technically, it costs us up to 5 points now.
And we speak about it constantly whenever there is a decision like that. That 5 points could be the difference between us staying up or being relegated. It could be the difference between us qualifying for the Conference League, even the Europa League, if things go very well. This is a big thing, and the bad calls they keep making, they really need to get a grip on it. I think maybe the club could be taking a stronger stance. I think it would be good for us to kind of push a bit harder, because Howard Webb, he keeps coming to apologise and have meetings, but it's not changing.
Howard Webb's got his own parking space at Compton at the moment, and Gary O'Neill did say yesterday, I'm not talking to anymore, because basically, what is the point? They keep coming and saying sorry, and it happens again, and then it happens again, and then and this is this year, and then we talk about all the stuff from last year. It's just you think, do you know what, these things even themselves out, but they don't seem to even themselves out. And on your point, funny enough, me and Emma were talking earlier, because they were talking, I don't know when it was on Talk Sport or the 5 Live, or it was on the thing, but it was a Man City Man United game, and they were talking about an incident that happened earlier in the game, and they were saying, well, this is a derby, this is the sort of that early in the game they could let that foul go. It's like, if it's a foul in the 5th minute, or it's a foul in the 95th minute. You can't just go, well, it's a derby, it's a bit more aggressive, so we're going to let that go because of that. Yeah, you have to manage with common sense, but you have to be even across the whole game. I mean, yesterday, this is another thing that really wound me up. It's like Dan Burn, how many fouls did he do? And some of the other Newcastle players, and the referee let it go, let it go, let it go. It was like, a Disney thing out of, let it go, let it. He just kept letting it go. His first card was 70 minutes. Had he have issued a yellow card earlier to Dan Bird when he should have done, Dan Bird, and they stopped doing it because they're on a red potentially. And then all the cards come out. It's like, oh, I'll start using them now, the last 70 minutes. So, you make a very good point on that. Onto your performance rating.
I think it was an 8.5 yesterday. I thought, like I said, going into the game, I thought best case scenario was a draw. But given how we played, it really exceeded my expectations for the game. I think we were so impressive. It felt like, Manny made the point earlier about it being similar to the Europa League season, and it looked like we were playing a game with that kind of energy and that kind of momentum that we were taking into the game. It really did feel like times of old yesterday. So I was very happy with the performance, and I don't think there were really there was really anyone who had a really bad game. I think, like you said, Boubacar, it looked a bit shaky at points, but then the replacement was so seamless. And, when Joao Gomes came on, it was much more aggressive with the tackling. And, I was just really impressed yesterday.
Very well said. Your man of the match.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go the same as Jack and give it to Lamina. Obviously, he got his first goal. It was a great goal as well. Because before the Neto took that corner, I was saying to my brother who sits next to me, I don't know why we keep trying the corners. They're so tall that it feels like they're going to win everything on these kind of set plays. But it was just a perfect delivery and a great header to beat Trippier at the back post. So. Yeah, the goal was fantastic.
That the first 3 or 4 corners all went near post, and it was like the whole of the Newcastle defence were kind of looking for the near post ball, and it caught them all. And to be fair, Lamina, that's the thing that Wolves fans really love about Lamina. He's 120, 100, 200% committed. And if he isn't as committed as what he was for that header, and he was so committed, and it was bullet. He won that ball. He had no real right to win it. He was just more determined. He wanted it more. And if you want it more as an individual and as a team, you get these results. And you can see they're playing with a fight and a passion for each other to get the win. And Gary O'Neill made a really, really good point as well. The one thing that he was impressed with was how they cope with adversity. Obviously, the goal from the drop. Sarr drops the ball and, it goes in the back of the net. And then the penalty VAR decision and dealing with it again. And we saw it against City. We saw it against Bournemouth last week. They have a belief now that they can keep going and get a result. And that's something that we didn't have early season. So it's starting to come. So it's a really, really good point that you make. Your highlight or moment of the day?
I think it's got to be Totti's skill, his pass to Hwang, and then the finish was, that goal was fantastic. Even the flick from Lamina, to beat Bruno Guimaraes, it was just a fantastic goal. I think often the kind of pundits and people involved in football will talk about like the second phase of set pieces and keeping it alive, and they definitely did that. And they get straight back in the box, and even though it's so congested still, Hwang's ability to find the space to just turn that ball and beat Nick Pope at the near post and Totti's turn, it was just fantastic. It was a great goal.
I know, that was fantastic from Totti Gomes. Absolutely. And Adrian James, just to bring you to, he said Neto injury is a big blow. I hope it's not too bad. We did cover this a little bit earlier, so you must have missed it. Neto's announced he's not so bad. He should be back in a couple of weeks with the international break. Hopefully, he'll be back after the international break. Obviously, we wait for confirm, but he's put that on his social, so that's a real positive for us. Right, guys. I'll keep a few questions in a second, but there is one question I do want to ask. If you've got any questions before we get to the quiz, and
you don't want my performance on mine, I don't know.
Oh yeah, sorry, Manny. Yeah, we're going to come. Sorry,
I forgot.
Sorry,
I had it already, but because you moved on.
I'm thinking ahead. Get your questions in, and then we're going to go to the questions and then to the quiz. Manny, let's start with your performance rating, mate.
Performance, I'll go with your 8 as well. I thought it's best performance at home this season. I think we controlled most of the game. Potentially it was a Sarr mistake for the first goal. If he come out, you got to get it, and he clashed into his own player. So if he's got to get it or he's got to punch it. So he'll be disappointed with that. And then obviously the penalty. Apart from that, we didn't look like being trouble. So 8 out of 10. My man of the match, I'm going to give it to
you're going to be different.
Max Kilman. The reason being because he struggled this season. He's now settled back into a back three. He is the captain, remember, and we all doubted him as the captain. And now we're loving our side, playing this energetic, wonderful way. And he's still our captain. So he's got to have credit for that, He's a part of that. So, and he was heavily strapped up. It looks like we're carrying a few injuries. Lamina limped off as well. Kilman was obviously carrying an injury, well strapped up. So I'll give it to him because I think he's, Dawson's took a lot of the acclaim. Maybe it's took a bit of the pressure off Max playing, on one side rather than centre of the defence, so he can sort of, manage his own area. And I think he's flourished. So I'm going to give it him. My moment of the day, obviously I could talk some most of Saturday, but I'm going to talk about the match. My moment of the day is Hwang scoring, and then Gary O'Neill's celebration is my moment of the day. Because that man, me included, and probably 90% of people who were commenting didn't see a way out, didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel, after Luton and Ipswich, particularly that week. We didn't really see where we could go with this team. And here we are sitting on 5-match unbeaten, and some of the teams that we've had to play, you've got to go up to Gary O'Neill and say, mate, can I shake your hand and say, oh, I didn't know you had this in your locker, but you've got much more than I thought. So thank you. Well done. Well deserves respect. He's, it's only 5 games, and football's a long time, with next result, if it goes downhill or a couple of games, he's got to keep going now. But we can see hope now. We can see a picture. We can see a vision. Even if we do lose, we also still can see that we've got something in our locker that we can recover and come back. Because you're not going to win every match. It's a pretty Premier League. Of course, you're going to lose matches. Man City lose matches. Everyone loses matches. So he's given us new belief. Our Molyneux's back. Our home form's rocking. So fair play, Gary O'Neill. You deserve a huge amount of respect. You're not the biggest name in the world. You're definitely no PE teacher. You're at least the year ahead. You're definitely not fit. No, he's fair play.
And let's just say this is no disrespect to PE teachers. So I had a comment about people that PE teachers do a fantastic job for young people and their job, but it's not managing a Premier League team. It's like, you saw on the Sky thing how engaging he was. And I think, he's like you say, Manny, he's coming late. We can't get carried away one way or the other. With people getting carried away, get rid of him. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's the PE teacher. They need to sack him. It's like, hello, give your head a wobble. He's like, he came in 4 days before the start of the season. He's made some mistakes. He's learning. But equally, you can't get carried away the other way, can you?
I just want to respond to a comment. Peter Yam Yam, I do respect him, man. He's a good guy. But you can't call him, he's just called him a pub manager. A pub manager does not beat Newcastle. Nearly should have beaten Villa, I thought, until the Lamina sending off, and play, better than a Champions League side, and barring a VAR, we'd been sitting at 7 points. So that is down to him modelling the team, coaching the team, training the team, getting the best out. Who got that out of Hwang? No one got that out of him at Hwang, did they? Who got that? Who got Neto 7? So give him credit for coaching the players and bringing the best out of certain players.
Well, a lot of the players have actually spoken, publicly about this, and Neto being one, Kuna being another. They've actually spoken about it. We are going to do the quiz in a minute, but there's one big question I need to ask and address because the fixture, the Chelsea fixture. Just to get your thoughts, really, we'll go Lewis first on this one. It's been moved to Christmas Eve, which is a 1 p.m. kickoff. It's the first fixture played in the Premier League on Christmas Eve for something like 28 years. I think it's 56 years since Wolves played Christmas Eve. Back in the day, they used to play on Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day. Back in the day. Lewis, just generally, what's your thoughts on that? Is you bothered about it? Just get on with it, or you just think it's some people? Oh my God, it's sacrilege! It's Christmas Eve. What's your view?
I think there's 2 points I'd like to make. First is that, like you said, they used to do it. They used to play on Christmas Day, and my dad, he really believes that in 10, 15 years' time, there will be games again on Christmas Day because the money is the biggest money is in TV at the moment. You can sell 30,000 tickets, but it's not going to cover anywhere near the cost of Sky Sports or BT Sport every month. So the money is there, and it will attract. And people are at home on Christmas Day, so if they're at home, they're around the TV, they can watch games. So soon, I agree with my dad. I think football will soon be on Christmas Day again. So I think it is just early steps, edging closer to games on Christmas Day. I think that's just it's the money. In America, lots of the sports they play on Thanksgiving and on Christmas Day. So I do think there is a move towards those kind of games. And for me personally, I think that there has to be a consideration for some fans. So maybe it would be unwise to play a game like Bournemouth v Newcastle on Christmas Eve, especially any later than 1 o'clock. You have to think about the fans. But the train station is well connected to Euston, so Chelsea fans coming up. I think obviously they may prefer to have played the game on the original day, but I think it might be a nice way to kind of kick off Christmas for everyone who attends the game and also those who are watching it at home. And then the second point I would just say is I'm a bit frustrated with the way we've been moved closer to the Brentford game on the 27th, I think it is, because they don't play for 10 days before our game. I think there's a 10-game gap for them, a 10-day gap for them, sorry. But now our gap that we had has now been shortened to 2 days. 10-day gap
for Brentford?
No, 10 days, sorry. I think I might be wrong. But
surely they're going to be playing on the 23rd or the 20,
I'm not sure. I think I saw somewhere that they won't play a game, and from the Man City game got postponed. They play last on the 17th of December against Villa. They were meant to play City.
Why would the Man City game get postponed?
I'm not sure, Dave. I'm not sure.
Emma, can you check that for us? He's right. They're not playing. So they're playing on the 17th. Then that's it.
Yeah. They were meant to play Man City the same day. We were meant to play Chelsea originally, but now they're not playing that day. So
you are right. Apparently, the producer saying that is correct. Okay, that's an interesting point. I hadn't thought of that. I mean, it can work two ways, can't it? They can not have a match, and have some time off and they could be really fresh, or they could be a bit stale because we played a bit earlier and we're more into. You don't really know.
It can work both ways. I remember we played Liverpool just after Christmas one season, and then we played Man City, or maybe it was the other way around. And in both games, we played really well that year. So it definitely, it's not necessarily a big negative that there should be uproar about. But I think it is just a point to be aware of. If we're going to shorten the gap for one team and lengthen the gap for another, the opposition, it should just be something that maybe the league consider when selecting the fixtures.
That's a really good point, Lewis. And as always, your knowledge is absolutely sound. So you're okay with it, basically.
I think it's going that way in the future. I feel, in my opinion, and I think it for the Wolves fans who are at the game, especially if we win, will be a nice way to kind of kick off Christmas properly.
Jack, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned about how it's going, because we all remember COVID and behind closed doors and Sky Sports telling us, it's great to have the football back, but it's not the same without the fans and all this kind of thing. There's absolutely zero consideration for supporters. Let's not kid ourselves here. They don't care about supporters, these television companies. We've now got 3 Monday night games this season: Man United, Fulham and Brighton. That's not great on our fans, is it, travelling?
And the Brentford games on Wednesday night now.
Brentford games now Wednesday night. So, my thing is, and I've said this to people, and I might be completely wrong, but I get the feeling that we're edging, like Louis says, we're edging towards what the TV companies want. And I think ultimately what they want is games played abroad, like the NFL does and things like that. And they'll have Premier League games being played in Florida and in China and all in Saudi Arabia probably. And I just think there's got to be a point where, as supporters, we kind of go, hang on a minute, you know, we give you the atmosphere. We make the Premier League what it is. We're a huge part of the product, if you like. And I don't particularly like that word product. But at what point do we kind of go, enough's enough? We don't want to be travelling half the way across the country on a Monday night. We don't want Chelsea fans having to travel up from London on one of the busiest days for the transport network anyway, Christmas Eve. Think how many Wolves fans travel from London and from Manchester and from the West Country and from up north as well. It's not particularly great for the supporters, is it? And I get that, you know, for the players, it probably doesn't make a difference, you know, whether they're playing 23rd, 24th, they can probably cope, but we've just got to think about our supporters here and also our staff, you know, stewards and catering staff and all those people that are now going to have to work Christmas Eve and they might have already made plans. And, you know, a lot of people have Christmas Eve traditions, don't they, you know, and do things with the family. They go out for a meal or go and visit relatives and that kind of thing. And now that's kind of put them in an awkward position where they've got to choose between the family and the football, haven't they? And no one really wants to be in that position. So I just think it's a little bit taking it a little bit too far and not really thinking about fans.
I get where you're saying there, but like, is it really choosing between family and football? I mean, it's 1 o'clock kickoff. You know, the match is finished by 3 o'clock. Christmas Eve, it's evening. It's like, you know, it's like still a shopping day. The shops will probably still be open anyway. You know, people, you know, that type of thing. So there is that. I get where you're coming from, but like, is it that big of a difference? The thing to me, I think if they were going to do it, they probably should have done it between 2 London clubs or a lot closer together because
Crystal Palace and Brighton are playing each other. That set of fixtures. That's
exactly one. For me. I mean, it's different people, and someone's made a point. If you're a Wolves fan and you travel quite a way to the game, you know, if you're a Chelsea fan and you're traveling, it's like paying. If I was going away to Chelsea, I'd be like thinking, but from a home game, it's like it's a bit of a thing. It was on my birthday, the 23rd of December, so I was going on my birthday. Christmas Eve, it makes really no difference to me. I'll go whatever. I can still do family stuff on Christmas Eve, but the like you say, they don't seem to think it through sensibly. It's like, yeah, put it toward in an area if that's what they're going to do. But you know, I guess we'll see. And on the attendance at Molineux, I'll guarantee you the Chelsea end will be sold out because, you know, almost certainly. And I would be surprised if Molineux's not sold out because there's probably a lot of people think, oh, we'll get a ticket to go to a game. Manny, let's see your thoughts on it.
You know what? We haven't had a Christmas Eve match for how many years, so why did they need to do it? And it's okay saying I'm okay. That's okay. But there are children. You know, Christmas Eve for someone with kids ain't about evenings, ain't about, you know, it's about the whole day with children, with young children, spending the day. You have families coming over, you know, getting together for the first time. So it antagonised a huge resource of people. For what? For this? For money? For worldwide fans. The only reason they do it is for worldwide fans to get more televised football on different days so they can bring a bigger audience around the world. No other reason. That when they in their boardroom, when they sit and make that decision, they aren't thinking what will the Wolves fan think or what will the Chelsea fan think, because they know the commodity is that big that, like you said, 3,000 tickets for Chelsea, of course they'll be sold out. They've got a big fan base. Some of the regulars might not go. Wolves at home, Christmas, people are off, gives a chance for somebody to go. It'll still be sold out. So because they know that will happen and they'll still sell tickets and it's not going to affect it, they'll just think, well, forget it, we don't know. But the hardened fan who goes week in, week out and travels all around the country, you know, especially with those who've got children who do celebrate Christmas, so it's a big thing. It's not just a holiday season. People celebrate it, you know, because they follow maybe the faith. I don't know. You know, for me, I don't like Sunday matches. 1 o'clock kickoff on Sunday because my Sunday is a volunteering day. I can just make it 2 o'clock. I want all kickoffs on a Sunday to be 4:30. You know, when they said 6:30 kickoffs on Sunday, I'll put my hand up for that one. I'll do that.
Well, exactly. You're exactly right.
It suits my needs. But if you look at the whole picture, you know, there are a lot of people who'll be impacted. Chelsea and Wolves, people with kids, on a day that they never traditionally follow football. And I'm with Jack. I think it's a chance to make a bit of a stand, hopefully with the trusts of like sort of, you know, Chelsea supporters trusts are quite well known, quite well versed. Chelsea, and I think they'll have to lead it, being the away team, and really, you know, kick up a fuss, tell these people that no, you can't just dictate to us. More importantly, you can't send us to Brighton on a Monday night bloody again. You know, you can't just, you know, we've already got Fulham on a Monday night, so we can't make that.
Well, I know to be honest, that's the thing that gets you. You get a odd one, and you go, right, okay, it's a bit of a pain. But when you get 2, 3, 4, it's like, God's sakes. Yeah. And especially because they're not easy places to get to either on that type of night, and people have got to get time off work and stuff like that. And it's when it's a lot, and it's really.
Hey, you know what? Imagine you're a bit late on a Christmas Eve, and even though it's a 3 o'clock, but like Jack says, and you've got to travel back to the West Country, and then you got stuck in the traffic, or your last train's a bit late, and you get into a taxi. You know what taxi drivers do on Christmas Eve?
Double their fare.
Double. Is literally you have to pay them what they tell you, otherwise they don't take you anywhere, and so it's going to add to the cost. The costs will go up as well, and just it's not required. It was not required. It had never been done for years.
And guess what, Manny? We talk about the VAR and picking on us for things like that. Oh yeah, we'll pick the Wolves game to do it.
Yeah.
Any coincidence? Yeah, we'll pick Wolves to do it on. Let's just wind them up a little bit more. Right, that we're covering that subject. We'll ask Chris and Jason when they come on. You ready for the quiz to finish off the first part of the show, guys? Okay. So, Lewis, first, second, or third? I'll give you a choice.
I'll go third.
Manny, first or second?
I don't care. Just go. I'll go first if you want. But get it out of the way. Get the pain out of the way. Yeah, so, you're having,
it's 3 penalties each. Okay. So the first question is, and this is to Manny. Wolves' home ground is obviously Molineux. In what year did Wolves move to Molineux?
Oh my God!
Was it A, 1870, B, 1880, C, 1888, or D, 1889? No one shout out in the chat because sometimes they give you the wrong answer just on funny anyway.
What was the last 2 answers?
88 is C and 1889 is D.
Obviously, they were in St. Luke's for a long time. Well, quite a bit of, a few years of their existence. Molineux, I think, has gone past, 120. I'll go for 88.
Are you going to lock that answer in?
Mate, it's a guess. This is a complete guess because
you're locking it in?
It's a year before I was born, so
1888 is your answer. He steps up. He's hit it really, really well. It's hit the underside of the bar, the line, and bounced out. It is 1889.
Oh, I knew it was one of those 2 years, but it was a complete guess.
Close. It was a good effort. Yeah. Right, Jack, who is on a roll, apart from hasn't beaten Chris, as Chris liked to point out earlier. But that's going to be a good head-to-head when Chris takes on Jason, and Chris is very confident. Who did Wolves originally rent Molineux grounds from, Jack? Was it A, Wolverhampton Council, B, Northampton Brewery, B, Banks's Brewery, or D, the Earl of Sefton? Wolverhampton Council, Northampton Brewery, Banks's Brewery, or D, the Earl of Sefton?
Let's go D, because that sounds like a very random thing to put in there. So I'm going to go D.
You've stepped up. You've slipped. The ball hasn't even got to the keeper. It is Northampton Brewery. So two missed penalties. So Lewis, this is giving you a chance to steal the first half title from Jack. and take the lead. In what year did Wolves buy Molineux grounds? Was it A, 1910, B, 1920, C, 1923, or D, 1925? 1910, 1920, 1923, or 1925?
I'm going to go C, 1923.
You're locking that in?
Yeah.
Oh, you sent the keeper the wrong way. It's back. It's gone in. You've done that roll run up, and the keeper's gone.
Oh God! Are you Irish? Have you got the look of the Irish?
Yeah, I'm on the side. Yeah.
There
Right,
you
man.
go. I knew it.
Manny, back to you.
Okay.
In what year were floodlights first installed
Oh,
at
bloody
Molineux?
hell! Another year. One.
Is it A, 1950, B, 1953, C, 1960, D, 1963?
So floodlit football obviously came about in the 50s. I think, with the advent of European football, and I'd go mid 50s. So 53 was it?
1953.
50 53. But it's obviously
Lock-
50 or 53. So I'm going to
You're
go
locking it in?
53. Yeah,
You're
go
locking
on.
it in? You've absolutely smashed it, John Smith style, through the centre of the goal. You've nearly taken the net out. It's in. 1 out of 2. Come on. Hey.
I'm happy. I can retire now.
Right, Jack, it's back to you. Pressure's on you now, mate. What stand is traditionally known as the home end? The Stan Cullis stand,
No way.
the Steve Bull stand, the Billy Wright stand, or the Sir Jack Hayward stand. And I'm reading the answer that's in the book. So is it the Stan Cullis, the Steve Bull, the Billy Wright stand, or the Sir Jack Hayward stand? What stand is traditionally known as the home end?
See, I'm pretty sure that the South Bank being the home end is quite a recent thing. I'm pretty sure the North Bank used to be the home end. So I'm going to go Stan Cullis.
You're locking that in?
Yeah.
You've done a Rabona down the middle, mate. Literally, you've Raboned it in. It's brilliant. Yes, well done, mate. Well done. That's 1 out of 2. Lewis, you still step up. You've still got your chance to keep the lead. If you miss, it's all on the third round. Right. What was the Stan Cullis previously known as? The South Bank, the North Bank, the Waterloo Road stand, or the East stand?
I'm gonna go North Bank Day.
Yeah, the keeper's gone for a sandwich there, hasn't he? And you've literally
I
had
think
it empty now. That is, it's the way the
How
roll.
has he pulled that question out, Lewis?
I looked at that and thought, oh my God, how easy is that?
Yeah,
The
can you
keeper's
smell
literally
something?
gone for a pie. He's
Something
only had
dodgy,
one
yeah.
Fucking VAR is corrupt. I'm telling you right now.
Do you remember when
you are
the guy
correct.
in the FA Cup had a pie on the bench, and it was like
Oh,
an
yeah,
odds
yeah.
for him to have a pie? He was quite a big goalkeeper a few years ago in
Yeah,
the
I
FA Cup.
remember, yeah.
The goalkeeper from that question there.
It must be. Right. Anyway, man, you can keep the pressure on. Right. When the John Ireland stand was completed in 1979, approximately how far away from the touchline was it? Was it 10 meters, 15 meters, 20 meters, or 30 meters?
There was a cricket match at Molineux. There was a cricket match in the 80s because it was a square. They played a charity cricket match with Ian Botham, and everybody came there, put a plastic strip in the middle. And because it was, you could literally play another match in that gap. It was that big. I've got to go. I think 10 sounds 10's far too short. 15 sounds short. What was the other two? 20 and 25?
10, 15, 20, or 30.
Yeah, I don't think it's 30. 30 meters is like, it could be. Honestly, it was quite far away. I'm going to go for 20, but I think it could be 25 is my perfect.
Come on, Manny. 20 or 30. What are you going to go for?
I'm going for 20 to 10. 30.
You're locking
You know,
that
it was
in.
a long way in the middle because it's like that because it's an arc, isn't it? It
There
wasn't
ain't an
straight.
answer to 25.
No,
It's the
no,
furthest
but in the middle, I think it was wider than the edges. So
That's right.
hang on. I need to know like where we're talking.
It says approximately how far away from the touchline with it. So, you know, you would have to
Approximately.
go in the middle bit, I guess.
Because in the centre, it could be 25 to 30 meters, honestly. But man, I'll go for. I don't know. 20 sounds 20 gone. I'll say 20. I'll say 20, but it could be 30. It's definitely not 10 or 15. Go on. 20.
You're locking 20 in.
I'm doing it now. I've decided.
Are you sure?
Right, I've decided. I've got one right, so I'm happy.
The keeper, you've hit it to the top corner, and the keeper's got his hand and tipped it round. It is 30.
Oh, it was as well. Imagine being 30 meters away. Bloody hell.
I don't know. So I think you were probably right on the right lines when you were talking about the way that went.
It was an arc because it was an arc. So
I think you were on the right lines there. If you think from the centre, probably on the outside, it probably wasn't, but that bit in the middle. So you were probably talked yourself out of that one, or nearly talked yourself into it, then talked yourself out. Anyway, on to Jack. You need to get this right. You know, to put the pressure on Lewis. So, in what year was the John Ireland stand renamed as the Steve Bull stand? 2001, 2003, 2005, or 2010? 2001, 2003, 2005, or 2010? And this you need to get right to keep your champ. Otherwise, the belt for the first half of the show could go to Lewis.
I think it's one of the two middle answers. I think 2001's too early. I think 2010's too late.
So you're having the same. I can see you're having the same support as Manny here with these two things.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 2005.
Are you locking that answer in?
Yeah, might as well. Go on. You got guests waiting, haven't you? So come on.
It was 2003. You've hit the post.
There you go.
Oh,
look at that little punch there from Lewis.
That's not 30. Have a look at that. That's not 30 meters. I think that's 20.
It looks 30 meters. Lewis, you've won.
That quiz big book needs bidding. That does.
You've won, but to see whether you get a perfect 3 out of 3, the record attendance at Molineux was 61,315 for an FA Cup fourth round game in February 1939. What team did Wolves play that day? Was it West Bromwich Albion, the West Birmingham Baggy Birds? Was it the Reds of Liverpool, the Devils of Manchester United, or the Toffees of Everton?
I'm going to go Liverpool because I think I've seen this in the stand, like in the concourse when you walk up to, in the Billy Wright Upper, there's a kind of print on the wall. So I think it's Liverpool.
And you would be correct. A perfect round. Lewis, you win. Jack, you deposed. Chris will be wanting to challenge you soon. Final thoughts, guys, just before we finish. Absolutely brilliant first half of the show. Score prediction. We'll go with Manny first for Sheffield.
I don't think you're going to be 7s or 8s. We're not that type of club to beat them like that. I think we'll win 2-0. I think we'll keep a clean sheet.
2-0. Jack?
2-1.
To the Wanderers.
Absolutely.
And Lewis?
I'm going to go 2-0. I would like for us to kind of have a high-scoring game of 3 or 4, but with the loss of Neto, I think it's a big threat gone. So I'm going to go 2-0. I would like a clean sheet against Sheffield, though.
2-0 against Sheffield. Absolutely fantastic. Razzle Madazzle. Guys, absolutely brilliant first half of the show. If you've enjoyed the first half with our fantastic guests, make sure you smash a like. If you're new, you can join in the chat by subscribing. Thanks ever so much, Jack, Lewis, and Manny. Manny, get yourself some kit. You've well earned it this weekend, mate.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.
What a fantastic start to the show we've had. with some fantastic people. Guys, second half of the show coming up. We do not have Sutty tonight because he's out for a meal. We do have cheerful Chris that's joining us. Good evening. Turn your sound on, mate.
Evening, David.
Good evening, and it was lovely seeing you earlier down at the down at Bilston Town. You know, we had a bit of a crack, didn't we? That was pretty good. Got home.
Yeah, it was a good day out. Raised a bit of money for charity. Watched some Wolves legends and Jason. Yeah, it was good.
Talking about Wolves legend and Jason, here he is. You know, he played for both teams today as well. I wouldn't
go as far as saying played, Dave, but I went on the pitch and done a bit.
You did. Now let me just give you the.
I knew it was coming.
Jason came on for the FA for the Vets. Jody Craddock scored a blinding header actually for the. Jody Craddock could have probably played that defence on his own. He still got it, and but he scored a great header, put the All Stars 1-0 up. Jason came on for the Vets, and the All Stars promptly scored another goal and went 2-0 up. So Jason went off at half time.
He was a little bit inappropriately dressed as well. I don't know what was going on there. He didn't quite. It was a little bit confusing. He had a different shirt on to everybody else. Stood out, and I think it overemphasised some of the mistakes that happened whilst he was in that segment of play. But I'll let you carry on about that, Dave.
He got the ball kicked through his legs as well a couple of times, which was quite nice as well. So anyway, he went off at half time, and he came on in the second half, playing for the Wolves All Stars, who were winning 2-0 at the time. And what happened there?
What happened there?
What happened there?
Oh my God!
Where did the balloons come from? I've not seen that.
No idea.
Someone's done something.
He did balloon a few over the bar when he was.
Yeah. I did that day.
Anyway, he came on for the Wolves All Stars, and then the Vets promptly scored, and but the All Stars did hold on for a thing. Now, before we get started with everything, guys, I do have to tell you I have been sent a Jason lookalike. Well, it's a gnome actually. I've been sent this by Foco. He has got the white shorts because this is a bit like Jason. He likes to play in not quite in the white key.
That's not a Jason lookalike, Dave. The ball is there, not going between the legs.
No, he's lying down with the ball, or is he standing?
Well, he did lie down once.
He did. He's got it. He's got the close control. Anyway, guys, it's another Christmas gift idea from Foco. I will show you that there's a choice of gnomes actually that you can get on. So I'll share this, scroll down. You've got actually a lot of stuff, a lot of Christmas stuff on here that you can get as well. Like there's a gnome thing there, but you have got like number one dad. You've got a Santa gnome. There's Jason. He just needs a pint in his hand there. I think he's sorted. And then we've got another one there. They're all different prices, but if you hit the link below this particular video or podcast, there's a link. It takes you straight through to the website. There's a choice of products. There's some nice gnomes, and if you use the code AlwaysWolves15, you will get 15% off anything on the shop. And they do have other clubs and stuff that you can buy for if you've got friends and family and support other clubs as well. But check that down. They've even got like a little snood thing here for the winters, which is kind of cool. Anyway, check that out. Right, Jason, first of all, before we get started, mate, we do have a laugh with you and stuff because you love the banter, and me and Chris, we love you to bits, mate. But in all seriousness, you do, like Manny, you do such a fantastic job. You've got for raising money for the 13P6,
1P36.
1P36 charity, and also for breast cancer now. And those two charities are incredibly close to your heart. If you want to just tell a little bit more about that, and then tell people a little bit more about the day today, and
listen, Dave. I was completely overwhelmed. Obviously, one of the highlights for me was Olivia and Jonas kicking the game off, which was lovely. And we had just under 30 former players attend. Obviously, 15 of which played, and another 13 or 14 which watched on. Just under 3,000 Wolves first team appearances were there today, and not only that, there was over 300 fans in attendance. I haven't counted up the money yet. It's downstairs. I've got to sort that out because I wanted to come on here, but it was just overwhelming that we had Robbie Dennison come down. Ali Robertson was there in the end. Just players. Jerry Taylor from the 70s, Colin Brazier. We were just so lucky that these people come and watched and supported, and it was just humbling, really. Carla Keamy and Matt Murray turned up, so we broke a record because it was the first time in Wolves All Stars history we'd had 11 former first team players starting the game. But it is the largest ever attendance other than testimonials for former Wolves players. So we made history today. Incredible. So anyone that supported, even if you like to tweet, means the world to me. Thank you so much.
Mate, it's absolutely brilliant. And I say, I'm really glad that we got down. Me and Chris, along with Jack and the voice of reason, and Emma and some of your family, Chris, we were all stood. We didn't go in the main stand. We did it like proper old school, like going to proper non-league ground. We stood behind the thing. We were chatting before the game because obviously, Carla Keamy and Matt Murray were there. I've had a picture with both Carla Keamy and Matt Murray either side of me, and I look like a school kid compared to them, but we were having a proper natter with them. It was brilliant. Lofty came by. Phil Parks walked past and at half time, and I said to Lofty, I said, you're going in for the second half? He went, yes, the pub. That's so Lofty. He's got such a sense of humour. And like Colin Brazier walked by as well, Melly's got a bit of game time as well, just run through some of the players that were on the pitch today, mate.
So, unfortunately, Charlotte Vignana couldn't play because he had a hamstring injury yesterday, much like Neto. But playing out on the pitch, we had Kevin Ashley, Matt Hill, Dennis Pearce, Mickey Holmes, Adam Proudlock, Colin Taylor, Simon Osborne, Tony Dinning. Just honestly incredible. It was just unbelievable. Just can't believe the turnout, and everyone said they had a good day. Some really positive comments. And most of all, we raised a lot of money for 3 great charities. I'll announce how much we raised tomorrow. But to everyone that turned up and thank you for your support means the world to me and my family. It really does.
Mate. They're great events. You just got to sit there and look at the players that were there, and they'll all engage with you, they'll all talk with you, and it's fantastic. And the thing that struck me, I sat and thought about it whilst I was there. This won't be something that happens in 15, 20 years' time. The players that play for Wolves today, they won't do this sort of thing. Football's changed. These characters have changed. It's so I'd urge anybody, if these matches are on, just go along and have a watch and engage with people, and it's great there.
Yeah, and you're quite right, Chris. In 10 years' time, the Wolves All Stars won't be here, and the reason being is because it's hard enough to get players now. But in 10 years' time, if we keep on this momentum of playing in the Premier League, players will not be coming out for charity games. They won't. It's as simple as that. So we've got to enjoy it while it lasts. It's probably got another 10 years at the most, so let's just enjoy it and let's just keep doing all we can.
I mean, can you imagine, in 10, 15 years' time, the likes of Raul Jimenez and Moutinho and Neves lining up with... And you know what? Jason will still be putting himself on the pitch.
I don't think we should talk about Jason's performance that much anymore. The only thing I'll say in comment on it, I did want to go and get a latte at half time to warm me up. It was a bit cold, and I normally like a bit of nutmeg on my latte. And I asked her, she said, "No, Jason's used it all."
Tony Dinning nutmegged me from about 10 yards. He told me what he was going to do, and it still worked.
I saw him.
And Jody Craddock did.
Mate,
But
it was
you know what?
absolutely brilliant.
This is the caliber and the quality of people that are there and playing. Just incredible today. So unbelievable. Thank you, everyone.
Mate, absolutely brilliant. You know, well done today. Absolutely great. We enjoyed it and well done. And looking forward to the total amount raised. I know, you know, we're talking about like the samosa Saturday and stuff, but you know, your main podcast host. We love to give you the support and just keep up the great work. And looking forward to your next event, Chris. Let's get stuck into the game now. I mean, just your thoughts on the match yesterday itself. You know, what comes to mind? Any points you'd like to raise?
Well, I went there with confidence. I thought we'd win. I did say last week I thought we'd win 3-1. I think with a bit better standard of officiating, that may have been possible after the way the match ended yesterday. You know, I'm sure we had a penalty, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't a penalty. It was a good game. I can see what we're doing. The manager's making good substitutions. The players all look like they're playing for. I don't think we've had a team that's playing together like this since Nuno left. They really seem to be playing well. I thought it was a great performance. It's just a shame we didn't get the 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jason, your thoughts?
Listen, it was always going to be tough against Newcastle, and for me, that was one of the. I personally believe one of our best performances this season, because Newcastle are a good side. They're a really, really good side. So would we have took a draw before kick-off? Obviously, of course we would. But equally, you know, we put in a real good performance. All these people that have massively disrespected Gary O'Neill, massively, you know, they've got to eat that humble pie now, because if you look at our performance on a whole yesterday, you know what? We're competing with teams like Newcastle who've spent that much money, and he's had major doubters, you know. And listen, right at the start of the season, it was a bit difficult. We all thought, oh, it's a cheap option. And do you know what? Matt Hobbs saw a good manager there. He saw something he liked, and now it's coming to fruition. And that's why we said the other week, couple of iffy results. Obviously, you know, sacking him was just absolutely ridiculous. And now you can see how they're gelling together. This is the best form of Neto's career at Wolves, even when he played with all the Portuguese lads, Moutinho, Neves, Jota, etc. This is the best form of Neto's career. So yesterday, when he went to pull the trigger, and I thought he was going to score, and next thing you know, he's holding his hamstring, you think, do you know what? Because that's one worry for me. Neto is in the form of his life, and I thought, I don't want him to get injured. Of course, we don't want him to get injured, but he has seemed injury prone in the past, and that's the worry. And he's listen. It was just a bit of a freak injury almost. You know, he's been working so hard, but I know he's only out for a couple of weeks, hopefully. But he's going to be a major loss, because he is on fire at the minute. And this has been perpetuating the team, because an outlet like Neto can get you a goal out of nothing. And I'll tell you who I want to pay massive credit to is Hwang. Once again, Hwang's had his doubters, a bit like obviously Gary O'Neill, but what a player he is. That goal, when he cuts it in that position, it's easier to cut it on his right foot and his left.
Yeah, and don't forget the conditions are so slippy to keep his balance as well.
He used his left foot and scored with his left. What a player Hwang is turning out to be. And you know what? He's definitely our most, you know, to get a goal, he's the most dangerous threat. And if you look at his not just his finishing record, but he's just. I was just looking at him on his whole performance and how he's improved. And obviously, he's got a great goal scoring record against Newcastle as well. But how he's improved is unbelievable. I'm just so impressed with Hwang and winning over these doubters as well. Great player.
And now Hwang's another one that's, you know, some of his confidence in his form is because he's been prone to the old hamstring injury as well. And, you know, he's getting a run in the team. And like when you get a player like Neto and Hwang, who are high impact players, you know, they can be prone to hamstrings and stuff like that. But when they actually get a proper run and they get really to that match fitness level where they can do these sorts of things, and they start to produce results, the confidence starts to go through them, and then it spreads through the rest of the team because people can trust them to do something with it.
And you know what? Don't forget with Hwang, he's not an out-and-out goal scorer. He's not a typical number 9. He's not an old-fashioned centre forward. But let me tell you something: he doesn't get many chances a game. If you watch him, he doesn't get many clear-cut chances a game. But boy, does he make such a difference!
I saw a stat. I can't think if I can see it now. I'm just going to try and see this. Oh yeah, this is Premier. Hold on, no, that's not that stat that I'm looking at. It was something to do with his expected goals. I saved it, so I'm just having a quick look to see if I can.
Dave, I've got a stat for you about Hwang because I don't normally do stats, but so obviously Hwang was in Leipzig in Germany, so I follow German football, so I know a bit about him. He had a really troubled year when he went to Leipzig, and when we signed, he had some injuries, a bit like he's had since he's been at Wolves. So if you ignore those injury periods and go back to when he was playing at Salzburg, which is where he went to, which is where he moved from Leipzig, his last season for Leipzig, Salzburg, he played 40 games and he scored 16 goals and made 22 assists.
For Salzburg?
Yeah.
Well, that's
he played alongside Haaland and Minamoto.
Oh right, okay.
Minamino name is
the stat that I was looking for, and I can't seem to see it because I did save it, but I can't seem to find it. But it was he's the top of the expected goals or something in the Premier League in terms of converting chances, and you can kind of. Obviously, we don't create as many chances, probably clear-cut chances as the likes of City and people like that. But his chance conversion ratio is really, really, really good.
He doesn't actually get that many chances. Like I said, he's not an old-fashioned centre forward, but when he gets a chance, he does take it. And yesterday, once again, very similar to Neto against Luton, he created that chance himself almost. He was. And what defenders do, as Kilman spoke about on the video the other day that came out from Wolves, which was very, very interesting. Defenders try and push players out into their weaker foot, which is exactly what they did with Hwang. And he come in and great goal.
Absolutely. And you can't underestimate the contribution as well that Totti Gomez did to that goal, mate. I mean, I couldn't believe it.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, Gomez is a great player. He's a good, solid defender. Very skillful as well. Got up the pitch well then and played a very important part of the goal.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, I've got to touch on the VAR again on this. Chris and Jason, I mean, it's not a penalty, is it?
Go on, Chris.
It's gone past 9 o'clock, hasn't it now?
Yeah.
Did you know an anagram of Anthony Taylor is cretin?
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, bloke's useless. That is the worst. That's the worst one I think we've had. You mentioned it in the first half. Dan Burns followed Pedro Neto 3 times across the box on a run, pulling him back. Each one of the times was a yellow card. He's not pulled him up until the 70th minute. And even then, I don't think it was for the foul. I think he turned around and gobbed off at the ref.
It was, yeah. It was.
It's unbelievable. And the problem is with this, before we even get to VAR and should he or shouldn't he, because I have some sympathy with him with VAR. But he's seeing these things, he's making decisions, and they're just bad ones. He's giving fouls and not booking. After a while, when this happens 2 or 3 times, he's got to get a guard out. You had Lascelles, Trippier, and Byrne yesterday, who all should have been booked in the first half, and they were all booked in the second half. They should have been off the pitch.
Yeah,
they get referees that are going to do this. We're
early doors, and it was like multiple fouls. They stopped doing it because 70 minutes.
Shocking. And then when you get to the VAR, he's made the decision. He hasn't got the cameras, but I just don't understand why they're not referring back to it. Whether it's a obvious decision or not, or a mistake, or all this terminology they use, it's the wrong decision. There was two there. That there was the one where we had the handball in the first half, Coon across the ball, and it hit the guy's hand. It was up here, and it definitely moved because you can see on Match of the Day. We play against somebody. Gomez gets the ball, hits his foot, ricochets up, hits his hand, penalty. It's and they're not even. It doesn't even seem to be going to the VAR team to come up with a consistent answer. I put it that as it's not doing it, there's no point having it. That VAR is not giving a clear message back to the referee. You might have made. I mean, I prefer it if you said you haven't made a mistake, mate, but you need to go and look at that because the angles are a little bit different. You just might want to see what it says. Go and look at the screen. If he still thinks it's what he's decided, well, he's just not very good, and that's the end of it. But when you brought this system in, and they're not even referring to it, or when you go to the big teams like Liverpool, they haven't got the cameras there to refer to. It's just a farce. The whole thing. I'm sick of it.
I think Gary O'Neill's very sick of it. So Ray Bisbee has said the VAR ref was the same ref who sent Lamina off for being the third man to approach him against Southampton. Jason, talk about your view on these incidents and also any other talking points you'd like to raise from the game yesterday.
Yeah, obviously the first goal I think we conceded was a little bit soft. We saw bumping into Traore almost, and it was a little bit soft. Although, was it Totti or Semedo? Was it that blocked the first shot? Was it which one was it? Who was it?
Totti.
Was it Totti? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously great header from Lamina. Bearing in mind we've got a goal down, and when we was going a goal down last season, we was in big trouble. But we go a goal down this season, and we're still in the game. And listen, these are encouraging signs, and this is obviously great game management by Gary O'Neill as well. So he does need to take a lot of credit with the goal, with the penalty. Sorry. Listen, Hwang, yes, it's a soft penalty, and this is why strikers really shouldn't be back in their own box trying to make tackles because. They are clumsy. The Newcastle players, the Premier League players in general, know how to play for a penalty. I'm not one, and I've been on this channel how many times to bemoan refs because sometimes it's easy to say, "Oh, the ref was shit," or "Ref was poor," and make an excuse for a game. However, the refereeing was very, very poor yesterday. It was the standard of refereeing, and when you look at VAR, it was
that's
set
a FIFA. Yes, that's a FIFA accredited ref.
And it's just so poor. And obviously VAR, as I've said before, was set up to almost combat all these, did he, didn't he? But it's not. It's just got even worse. And it's so sterile as well. So when obviously, I think we're obviously on the goal, Newcastle, then there was a pause. And the fans cheered twice for the goal. And you think, do you know what? It's just, for me, it's just ruining the game, in my opinion. And the refereeing is not no better for it, in my opinion. And in fact, it's probably worse because they've got this as a bit of a backstop almost that they can rely on somebody else making a decision for them. So it takes the decisions out of the hands. And once again, Hwang's finish. We're 2-1 down. Hwang made up for that for the penalty error, whether it's a penalty or not. Made up for it with that great finish. So we come back into the game twice, which is so encouraging against such a good Newcastle side.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point, and the weather as well was atrocious, which it was like I said it was like a bit of a basketball game at the end. It was backwards and forwards. It was a gripping contest, but two decisions that have affected the game, and we've only played 10 games, and 3 of the games we've had penalty decisions that have been given or not given after being checked by VAR, and every single one has gone the opposite way to us. That's that's just shy of a third of the games that we've played so far this season, and you could argue definitely the Luton game 2 points because I don't see them scoring without that penalty. Wolves have got to score the penalty against Man United if we're given it, but you 80% chance of scoring, so that's another point. And then had that penalty not been given, I think Wolves probably go into half time, and you could say that we go on and win the game. We won't know, but like there's a potential 5 points on top of that. Right. Before we get
just on that, Dave, I'm not resistant to change, but when you see every weekend now there are 2 or 3 howlers, and I mean they're howlers, proper referee mistakes, injustices, and we brought a system in that was supposed to remove the injustices, and I don't remember us having these many bad decisions before VAR come along. We get one every month maybe, but there's 2 or 3 every weekend. It's the propensity is way off the scale to what it used to be. It's not. I don't think it's added anything to the game. Oh, it does, because we now get about 8 minutes of extra injury time to calculate that properly, so we get more game time for our money, I guess. But yeah.
You're not wrong. Well, I'm going to come to you first, Chris, for your performance rating.
Okay, I think performance. I think that's the most measured and best game we've played this season. I'm giving that an 8. That's my highest score this season for games.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Your man of the match?
My man of the match for me has got to be tale of 2 games. You've got Newcastle last year. A young man makes a clearance, goes badly wrong, gets vilified, hate figure. And this year he's done a piece of magic in the box, got us an equaliser. So my man of the match is Hangy Chan.
Okay, fantastic. Well said. And your highlight or moment of the day? As you know, it can be anything.
It's been alluded to already. So my highlight of the day is Mr. Manny.
He's
steadfastly refused to give me a samosa with no peas in for many, many years now. I didn't seduce his wife at Telford. I had a mild conversation with her about the, inclusivity, and I'd like to have one, but I can't have the one with peas in. And she's managed to change his mind, and I've managed to get him to do it. So that was my highlight of the day, and I had some later on, and they were lovely.
Yes, very, very nice. Jason, your performance rating, young man.
Performance rating 8 out of 10. Like I said, I think it was always going to be a really difficult game against Newcastle. I know they've lost recently, but they are a really, really good side. They are, people who was calling Eddie Howe.
They're unbeaten in 7 in the Premier League.
Mate, listen, people who's calling
5 out of their last 6 as well before playing us in the league or something like that.
See, they're a good quality Premier League side, aren't they? And people who call Eddie Howe the PE teacher, probably the same people that are calling it Gary O'Neill, but he's a good manager. They're both very good managers. And in fact, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but one of them is likely to get the England job in the next X amount of years because, they're both very, very good young managers. 8 out of 10 for me. Moment of the match was Hwang's goal. I just think he took it so well. Obviously, we've gone a goal down on 2 occasions. And, these are difficult games to come back into. I just think he took the goal so well. And it's really good player, Hwang. I'm so glad he's turning into this sort of player. Man of the match for me, I'm going to go a bit left field. Listen, there was probably a choice of about 4 or 5 players who could have got man of the match yesterday. Hwang, obviously Neto up until his injury, just so effective. But for me, I'm going to give it to Ryan Aït-Nouri because he was one who was going
to... What's happened to Chris?
Listen.
Sorry, the thing playing up.
Listen, Aït-Nouri, he was a player. He was a player who was getting frozen out under Lopetegui, and there seemingly was no way back. But I think it was a really, really good performance from yesterday. Going forward, how effective is he in beating players, getting crosses in? And when he crosses, he's got a good cross on him. He can put the ball in low and hard. He hits the danger areas. For me, Aït-Nouri was man of the match. Sorry, Chris. I know you're not his biggest fan, but that's just my opinion.
You're not a fan of him at all, are you, Chris?
How many pies did you have at the match yesterday, Jason?
Only 8. But the thing is, what you got to remember is...
One every 5 minutes. You didn't see him play most of the game, but never mind. Carry on.
Listen, these aren't the old left backs, are they? Of years gone by when they were defending left backs. Ain't Nori. The reality is he's a left winger. That's the reality. You know, he's not. You know, so he's a lot better going forward than But I think he's just so important going forward. I really do think he's so important going forward. Good player, and I'm so glad that he's now, obviously, after the issues clearly with Lopetegui, that he's back in the side. And yeah, man of the match for me yesterday.
Absolutely brilliant. I just loved Chris's face when you said Ain't Nori. I was just thinking that's just brilliant. A beautiful friendship broken right there over Ryan Ain't Nori. Guys, we're going to come with a quiz in a second, but just before we get that, guys, I just need to tell you about the deal from NordVPN. Fantastic deal that we've got for you guys. Comes in very, very useful. The link's in the description below. It's the Nord link with Forward Always Wolves. If you use that, you do get their exclusive deal. It's fantastic. You have it on your phone, you have it on your iPad, you have it on your computer. It doesn't matter how many devices you get it. You can even have it on your TV if you've got Fire Sticks or things like that, or you want to get American Netflix and stuff. It even works for the same subscription. You go to it, you click on the link once you've gone through it. It takes you through, instead of £187.32 for 2 years, it's £64.53, which works out at £2.30 a month. And you get an extra 4 months free as well. It's an absolutely Boston deal. And you can get it through the link below, through us, in the link in the description. It's /Always Wolves. And you can be able to get that. So check it out. I've got it myself, and it's super reliable as well. It works across everything. Honestly, your internet doesn't slow down at all. Right, are you guys ready for this showdown? Because I know that Chris has been rubbing his lips for this. Now, because of
Dave, he's just done me. He's just done me that right, ain't no. My head is going now. How the hell can he give him man the match? I can't digest information. He's done it on purpose.
Trying to throw you off your game. So is this what you're trying to do? If he beats you, you're going to try and come up with an excuse?
Absolutely. Oh, Chris, yes, of course he's.
I have to tell you, Jason, before you came on earlier in the green room, we were talking about it, and he's very confident. He's going to take you out.
We'll see then.
Here we go. So because there's only 2 of you, you're going to have 4 penalties instead of 3. Who wants to go first? Do you want
Chris
to go first?
Chris wants to go first.
Let's flip a coin, Dave.
Emma, have you got a coin? Okay, I'm going to get the gnome. The gnome is going to be either in my right side of the screen or my left side of the screen. Right. So it's my right, not your right, okay? Right. So you're the lucky bugger because you picked gold in the when you out of 1 out of 8 chance. So which side are you going? It's going up. My arms are going up. Which side are you going to go with?
It's in your right hand, Dave.
My right hand. You think it's my left? It is in my right hand. Honestly, I swear to God, he's got a 6th sense. So, Jason, that means you can either go first or second.
I'll go second.
Okay, so psychologically, penalty takers, if you go the team that goes first, always have the edge as long as they score the first one.
But I'm giving Chris an advantage.
There you go. He's feeling sorry for her. Is he getting in your head again, Chris? So, what was Bill Slater's full name? Was it Bill Slater, William Slater, William Robert Slater, or William John Slater? Bill Slater, William Robert Slater, or William John Slater? Chris?
I thought he was going first.
No, he said you going first.
That's a stinker. I reckon.
Go on. Bill Slater, William Slater.
William John Slater.
So you're going for William John Slater. You're going to lock that in?
Yeah, well, I may as well. I ain't got a clue, so.
Sends the keeper the wrong way. It's in the back of the net. Well done. 1-0. Jason.
I'm under pressure now.
You are. I'm telling you, giving him the chance, the opportunity. Which Lancashire club, Jason, did Bill Slater start his career with? Was it Blackpool? Was it Blackpool, Blackburn Rovers, Chorley, or Preston North End?
Blackpool.
Is the correct answer. It is the correct answer. You set the keeper the wrong way as well. Great penalties to start off. Well done, guys. So back to you then. Puts the ball on the spot. Chris, which club did Wolves sign Bill Slater from in 1952? It's the same club he's returned to when he left Wolves in 1963. Is it Birmingham City, Brentford, Notts County, or Leicester City?
Shit. Well, the team I thought it was isn't on there, so that's a good start.
Who did you think it was?
Blackburn.
Don't
know why.
No.
Yeah,
Birmingham, Brentford, Notts County, Leicester.
Notts County.
You're going to go with Notts County? You've hit it over the bar. You've slipped and it's gone over the bar. Bit like what Jason did 2 or 3 years ago when he took the second penalty in the car.
It was Leicester.
It was. Jason, do you know?
I had a feeling it was Brentford, but I think it's Birmingham.
It was Brentford, actually. But it's not your question. So it's 1 out of 2 for Chris. Jason, your chance to put your nose in front. Bill Slater played for Wolves for 11 years and he made 339 appearances for the club. How many goals did he score? Was it none, 1, 25, or 55?
1.
You're going for 1?
Yeah.
That's you locking that in?
Locking it in.
Mate, you've literally, you've smacked it and it's gone. It hasn't even hit the 6-yard box. It's so wide. It is 25. 20.
Shows how much I know.
1 out of 2 each. So we're back level. It's 2 O's and 2 X's. Right, back onto you, Chris. How many times did Bill Slater win the first division with Wolves? Was it none, 1, 2, or 3 times? 0, 1, 2,
first
3
division.
times. Pardon?
The first division.
The first division, yeah. Well, there weren't no Premier Division, was there then? 0, 1, 2, or 3. Need to push you for an answer.
2.
You're going for 2. You've hit the bar.
Oh, I thought it was 2.
You've hit the bar. It is 3. 3 times.
I was going to say 3 and all.
Right. So, well, you didn't, did you? So you've missed.
No.
How many times, Jason, did Bill Slater win the FA Cup with Wolves? Was it
Once.
Was it none, 1, 2, or 3?
Once.
You're going to lock that in?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Nicely done. Tucks it away in the corner. Keeper's got no chance. He did stretch.
On there.
He was too good a keeper. So that puts you into 2 out of 3. So, Chris, you're stepping up under extreme pressure, having to convert this penalty. In which season was Bill Slater voted the Football Writers Association Player of the Year? Oh, it's brilliant. Was it A, the 1957-58 season? Was it B, the 58-59 season? Was it C, the 59-60 season? Or was it D, the 60-61 season? 57, 58, 58, 59, 59, 60, 66.
It's either B or C.
Right, so you're either going to go for 58, 59 or 59, 60. Bearing in mind, this is a choice of kicking the ball left or right. Which are you going to go with?
59-60.
He's give the keeper the eyes, Jason, and he's sent it the wrong way. He's done the roll run up. The keeper's gone and he's rolled it into the other side. He's levelled it up. Pressure, such pressure, and that penalty, and he
I've
does
just
it.
got to score to win, haven't I?
Right. Yeah, he's kept himself in the game. So
It's not going to be what Steve Bull's middle name or something, is it? Like the last bloody one.
Hopefully.
Right. How many different managers did Bill Slater play for during his time at Wolves? Was it 1, 2, 3, or 4?
One.
Oh, looking at the
Easy.
Is it easy though?
Of course it bloody is.
Jason?
It's either 1 or 2. I'm going to go for 1.
Are you sure?
No.
I'll give you 5 seconds.
Actually, no. I'm going to go 2. Stan Cullis and Ronnie Allen.
So you're locking in 2. Are you
I'm
sure?
locking in at 2. Stan Cullis and Ronnie Allen.
Final answer?
Final answer.
You've hit it well, mate, but the keeper's got his hand to it and saved it.
Was it 1? Stan Cullis.
I don't know.
Change my mind, Dave.
I know. So, guys.
You did a sort of in there, Dave.
Well, I did give him the opportunity, didn't I? I did give him the opportunity. So, we're going to sudden death here. So, I'm not going to give you a choice of numbers. The first person to shout out the answer correctly will get this right. Okay?
7, Dave.
Is that your answer?
No.
Because otherwise it opens the floor. If you shout it out, the other person then has a chance to come in if you get it wrong. So Bill Slater won 12 England caps, including 4 in a World Cup. Which World Cup was it? What year? First person to shout out gets it.
58. 1958.
You're going for 58. What did you say, Jason?
I just said 58. It was in Brazil, wasn't it? 58, I believe.
But Chris has shouted it out first. And it is a decisive penalty. And he has won. He's beaten him. Look at the smugness on his face. He's taken him down.
Bloody Wolf Whistle
Taking
podcast.
him down. Chris, does that mean you remain unbeaten?
Eh? Yeah,
Does
I
that
remain
mean you
unbeaten.
To be fair, Chris is 84. Chris is 84. He did have an advantage over me.
Fantastic. Anyway, that was a really, really good game. So finally, I do want to say quickly.
By the way, Dave, neither of us saw Bill Slater play.
No, well,
crikey.
I do want to say a big thank you to Creation Wolf for powering extra time and delivering the industry's latest and most advanced digital solutions. If you've got a company, get in touch with them. They're from Wolverhampton. Links in the description below. They'll basically take your company to the next level. Digital solutions are absolutely brilliant. Thank you for powering the show. And finally, score prediction for next week, Chris, against Sheffield United.
I keep saying 3-1. I think it's going to happen next week.
3-1. One of these days you will get it right, I guess. Jason?
2-0 Wolves. Good, confident away win. And just before we go, well done, Manny, for doing Samosa Saturday for, I believe, the 10th time. Is it 10th time?
20th.
20th time. And it was, I mean, that's just incredible. And the money is raised and how it connects people. Fantastic. So well done to Manny. But yeah, 2-0 next week.
Fantastic. And the same to you, mate, as well, for the work that you do. And
Thank you.
Of course, we also we did get the final amount. We did get over £3,000 raised for the Content Creators Cup, which we're obviously very proud of. Not nowhere near the numbers that you've got, but it's a start. So it's
Dave, listen, can I just jump in there? If people do it sometimes, they go, I can only afford £2. And I think only afford £2. That's just incredible. If someone gives £1, £2, 10p, 1 pence, or gives up their time, it's as important and as generous to me as £500. So whatever's raised, it's money that charity would never have had today. Full credit to you, my friend.
Brilliant. I appreciate that. Guys, thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you're watching it on catch up, leave your things in the comments. If you've enjoyed it, just take a second, smash the like button. It lets YouTube know that you're enjoying it. And if you subscribe, hit the bell because you'll never miss an upload. And we do lots of content for you. We put a lot of work into it to put it out. And if you listen to it on the podcast, why not give us a 5-star rating on your podcast provider? From myself and all the gang, God bless you all and love to you and your families wherever you are in the world. And we'll see you next week. From all of us to you, always Wolves.
Always Wolves.